Good morning. Welcome to our thought for the day, this Wednesday, the 24th of February. Our reading today is taken from Psalm 6. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are shaking with terror. My soul is also struck with terror. While you, O Lord, how long? Turn, O Lord, save my life. Deliver me for the sake of your steadfast love. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who can give you praise? I am weary with my moaning. Every night I flood my bed with tears. I drench my couch with weeping. My eyes waste away because of grief. They grow weak because of all my foes. Depart from me, all you workers of evil, for the Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies shall be ashamed and struck with terror. They shall turn back and in a moment be put to shame. Psalm 6 is a prayer written by David in a time of severe illness. He's begging for healing and mercy, and possibly it was also an occasion seized upon by his enemies to vent their animosity against him. In Christian tradition, this psalm is numbered with 6 other penitential psalms, although it has no confession in it. The reliance on God's steadfast love is central to the psalm. The first few verses are an appeal for mercy. It is as though the Lord has sent illness to chastise David for his sin. And then David goes on to ask God in his anger not to impose the full measure of the penalty for sin, for then surely his death must follow. In this time of COVID, I thought that this was an appropriate psalm for us and the nation racked by the pandemic. We can make our plea to God to be merciful to our whole nation. As it says in verse 4, be merciful to me, Lord, for I am faint. Lord, heal me, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in anguish. We can, and I hope we will all regularly cry out to God to show his mercy to all people. One feature of the psalm that the psalmist is near death and fears for his life. He fears going to Sheol, which is the abode of the dead, and there the dead live in a feeble and miserable existence in the land of no return and outside the reach of God's love in the land of dust, darkness, and silence. It seems that in ancient Israel all sickness was seen as a form of death, and the psalmist probably regarded himself as partly dead already in Sheol, hence his anguish. He implores God not to let him go there, because from Sheol he can't praise Yahweh. The psalmist, in verse 4, makes 3 great imperatives to God: turn, save, and deliver, and requests all this is done for the sake of God's steadfast love. He's almost saying, do it not for my sake because I deserve it or because you owe it to me, but act to keep in repair your reputation for being kind, faithful, and loyal. That is for being Hesed. Hesed is a word God uses to describe himself. This prayer echoes the daring demand of Moses that can be found in Numbers 14, verses 17 to 19. God, you need to act to maintain your reputation. Thus, Israel's problem is a burden for God's character. Israel's need is God's opportunity to visibly be the God that Yahweh promised to be. Interestingly, in verse 3, he asks, while you, O Lord, how long? There is no verb in the sentence, but God is drawn in and impinged upon and linked to the situation. The psalmist seeks to force God's hand to act. There is an encouraging change of tone in verse 8. For the Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord accepts my prayer. The prayer has mobilized Yahweh to act. The outcome affirms that Yah's Hesed has been in action again. Yahweh has shown that he is loyal, merciful, and compassionate, and that he's been moved to help and heal the psalm writer. Let us all use this time of Lent and the pandemic to seek Yahweh and his healing for our nation. Let us look to him because he is loyal, merciful, and compassionate. He is Hesed towards his children. Come, Lord Jesus, heal us and our nation.